Every disease is diet related. And today I want to talk about milk because a lot of people love milk. And it's shocking to me that just how we've been brainwashed into accepting that it's okay to drink milk from a totally different species. This should be common sense, right? Because if you just look at nature and the way life just naturally happens, when a woman has a baby, she produces milk. And a woman only produces milk for maybe, 3, 4, maybe 5 years after the birth of the baby. And then after that, the woman stops producing milk. Do you know why she stops producing milk? Because that baby or that toddler, that child, that young person does not need milk anymore. That young person, after a certain age, should not be drinking milk anymore. We are not intended to drink milk all of our lives. We only need milk for a short period of time. You know, those first few years of our infancy. That's it. And you see this all throughout nature in different species that produce milk, cows or goats or, whatever it is, like cats, dogs, no species in nature just produces milk their entire lives. And no infant, whether that infant is a cow or a pig or a cat or a dog, like whatever it is, drinks milk their entire lives. You're only supposed to drink milk for a limited amount of time, those first few years of infancy. That's it. And humans are the only species that drinks milk from a totally different species. This goes against nature's laws for a healthy body. It should be common sense that cow's milk is for baby cows. Goat's milk is for baby goats. Cat's milk is for kittens. Dog's milk is for puppies. On and on and on. Humans are the only species to get this confused. Like, that's shocking to me. But as shocking as that is, and that, I shouldn't even have to make a video on this, and I'm not saying that I have to make a video on this. I'm just saying that everything I just said should be common sense. But it's not. And that just shows you the power of brainwashing. There's a law of faith that says faith comes by hearing. And what that means is the more you hear something, the more you will believe it. And this is a prime example that it doesn't matter how ridiculous it is what you're hearing. If you hear it enough times, you will believe it and you will accept it. And so, because humans are drinking milk from cows, and I know there's other animals, but I'm just zeroing in on cows because it's the most popular. We're dying prematurely. We're suffering, sicknesses, illnesses, diseases of all kinds because of this. So I'm gonna, hop on my computer and just, read off some interesting things to you about cow's milk. So first, what is milk made up of? Milk is made up of water, fat, proteins, and lactose. So, I've said this in other videos, but what the food industry does to deceive you into accepting a product is they change the name of it, right? So there is no such thing of milk. That's the name they gave this substance that's a combination of water, fat, proteins, and lactose. That's what you're really drink. That's some of what you're really drinking. I'm gonna get into more of what you're really drinking, a little later. But the base of what you're drinking is water, fat, proteins, and lactose. Dairy, not even just cow's milk, but dairy in general is linked to a lot of disease. And let me tell you, before I get into the diseases, I want to talk to you first about what's in a glass of milk. So I just mentioned the water, the fat, the proteins, and the lactose. That's the base, right? But also in that glass of milk is 100, and this number is approximate, but approximately 135 million pus cells. Blood, feces, painkillers, antibiotics, growth hormones, bacteria and pathogens, IGF-1, which is a growth hormone. It contributes to an increased risk of diabetes, hormonal imbalance, immune system damage, early puberty, and cancer. And I'm going to get into, other diseases real shortly, but that's just some of them. Acidic protein. And this acidic protein, it steals, it draws minerals and calcium from your bones. So, we're programmed to believe that milk is good for our bones. It's really quite the opposite. There's a milk protein that is toxic to human beings known as casein. And casein is addictive. Casein has been described as an opioid, or like an opiate-like substance. It's been comparable or compared to the addiction of it, and the feeling that it gives you has been compared to heroin. And, these are just things that I've read, so I can't, confirm or validate any of that. But what I can say from my personal experience is dairy was the hardest thing for me to kick. You know, I've been living, a frugivore lifestyle for, I don't know, some time now. And currently I only eat fruit. I only eat raw fruit. But before that, I used to eat like everybody else. And I slowly gave up one toxic thing after the other. And of all of the like everything, the meat, the fucking sweets, and the candies, the chips, the burgers, like everything, out of everything that I love to eat, dairy was the hardest to kick for me, and especially cheese. I was really hooked on it. Like, I would have fucking dreams about it, like nightmares even. Like, it was crazy. But yeah, so that's, I was going to talk about protein, but I'm not going to talk about that now but I will just say protein is another myth. It's another thing that we've been brainwashed to believe that we need protein. But I'll touch on that real quick. We don't need protein from outside sources. Excessive protein is also linked to a lot of disease. We don't need protein. What we need are amino acids, and our bodies, right? And you've probably heard this. Amino acids are the building blocks for protein. So when we consume amino acids, our bodies will build or will make protein from the amino acids, and it makes the protein that it needs. And amino acids are abundant in fruit. I can't really speak on vegetables. I don't know. I don't eat vegetables, but so yeah, that's protein. So, casein is a protein, but it's toxic. And like, honestly, all outside protein sources are toxic to us. Because again, our bodies will make the protein it needs from amino acids. But let me go on this list of things. This toxic protein called casein contributes to breast cancer, kidney disease, arthritis, multiple sclerosis, Crohn's disease, irritable bowel syndrome, and asthma. And that's just a few. And I wasn't really trying to get into the diseases now, but that's what's on here. And pretty much that is what's in a glass of milk. Like the building blocks for those diseases that I just read off are also in a glass of cow's milk. It's not in human milk. It's when you drink milk from a species that you're not a part of. Cow's milk doesn't affect baby cows or baby calves like this. Cow's milk isn't toxic to baby calves because they are of the same species. Just like, a human's milk. A human mother's milk may be toxic if consumed by cows. It definitely won't give a baby calf the proper nutrition for growth and development. And this shit shouldn't even have to be researched. They're spending like fucking millions of dollars researching. Like, this shit shouldn't even have to be researched. Like, why isn't it just common sense? Like, I am not that. So I shouldn't be drinking anything that's coming out of that. But apparently, it's not common sense. It's something else. There's a cows. What I'm about to read to you. It says that 1/3 of all dairy cows have a disease called mastitis. And mastitis is caused by the equipment that these cows are hooked up to, the machinery that they're hooked up to that pulls milk out of them. So let me just read it for you real quick. It says mastitis is a disease of the mammary glands by contact with bacterial infection from milking equipment. And then, there's some other things. Besides being terribly painful for the cows, their milk contains greatly increased levels of inflamed somatic cells, commonly known as pus. So if you were wondering what pus was when I read it earlier, that's what it is. It increases it. This equipment. I really don't need to know what it is because just that word sounds disgusting to me. Like when I think of pus, I think of like when you bust a pimple or something like that and that white gooey shit comes out. That's what I think of. So here's some other things some other diseases. So I've already read off quite a list of diseases already that milk is linked to. Here's some more. There's actually a lot of them. Drinking cow's milk. When humans drink cow's milk, that cow's milk is also linked to Parkinson's disease. And Parkinson's disease, if you don't know, is a neurodegenerative disorder that affects motor neurons in the brain. It fucks your brain up. That's what it is. And, if you're familiar with Muhammad Ali, was a boxer, famous boxer, heavyweight champ, public figure back in the day. He suffered from that. And if you watch videos, he had no control over anything. He just shook uncontrollably. He got to the point where he couldn't speak. It's a terrible disease. Milk is also linked to increasing your chances of stroke and even death. I'm gonna read this because I think it's interesting. Just about the history of cow's milk, because one might say humans have been drinking cow's milk for ages, for fucking centuries. You can maybe even I don't know how long it's been, but definitely centuries. I don't understand why that matters. Why does it matter if you're doing shit that you're not supposed to do? Why does it matter how long people have been doing it? Right? That doesn't make sense to me. People will say, well, we've been eating meat since, for probably thousands of years. Okay. And people have been dying prematurely for thousands of years too. Why does it matter how long we've been doing stupid shit? If you do stupid shit for 1,000 years, it doesn't make the stupid shit smart shit. It's still stupid. Doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. I'm not telling you what to do. I don't care what you do. I don't care what you eat. I don't care what you drink. I care about what I eat and drink. I'm just sharing some light. If you don't want it, don't take it. Simple as that. But real quick, this is just what this is saying. Many people wonder how it could be that drinking cow's milk is bad for your health if we've been doing it for centuries. To answer this, we have to go back in time a little bit to around the 1960s when they started to artificially modify the natural growth of cows. Studies show that in the 1800s, cows started to produce around 9 liters of milk per day. Nowadays, with new techniques for artificial animal growth, for example, antibiotics, genetic selection, change in diet, growth hormones, we've gotten cows to start producing up to 24 liters a day. It's fascinating to see how cows went from producing 2 liters of milk to 24 or more per day. The artificial growth techniques have been great for the dairy and meat industries, but the truth is that this departure from what's natural has consequences for people that drink it. This is because milk is affected by things like how the animal is raised, the antibiotics, the hormones, the diet, etc. Based on these things, it can cause various health issues over the years. And I mean, honestly, that's what they're saying. Honestly, milk, again, for me, it's just common sense. I'm not a fucking cow, so I'm not drinking milk from a cow. And also what I mentioned earlier, my mom stopped producing milk when I was, 3-4 years old. It's from a common sense perspective when you look at the natural order of things, the natural flow of life. She stopped producing milk because I'm not supposed to drink milk after a certain age. That's all I need. That's good enough for me. I'm not going to play with these laws. But, not all people, look at it like that. So let me read off again. All disease is diet related. This is the milk episode. So I'm going to name off a list of other diseases that dairy is linked to. Migraines. And I don't know if you ever had a migraine, but migraines are no fucking joke. Migraines are like fucking toothaches in the brain. Like a serious migraine will you will lose your entire will to live if you don't get any relief. Like, you will literally just want to die. It's that fucking painful. Like, it will paralyze your whole body. Like, you don't even want to breathe. Because every single movement hurts. It just adds to the suffering. It feels like it intensifies the migraine. It's no fucking joke. Constipation. And constipation may not seem like a big deal, but constipation is caused by your digestive system not functioning properly. And that's a huge deal because, as people like Dr. Sebi have said, and Dr. Robert Morris, and many others, natural doctors, all disease starts in the gut. And so if you're having constipation issues, there's something going on. Like, shit is not moving through. When you eat, it's supposed to be digested. The nutrients are supposed to be removed, and the waste is supposed to be eliminated. And when waste is not being eliminated, it's being accumulated. It's just building up in your body, in your gut, your fucking intestines. And this causes disease. This causes problems. This blockage, this backup is responsible for disease. Lots of diseases. Cancer. I said that before, but again, dairy products are linked to cancer, and cancer is the number 2 cause of death in America. Last I checked, and it wasn't that long ago when I checked. And the number 1 cause of death in America is heart disease. Number 2 is cancer, which claims over 500,000 lives every single year. Dairy. Cataracts. If your vision is fucked up, milk is linked to cataracts. Chronic fatigue. If you just like ridiculously tired, drained, no energy, milk is linked to that. Of course, allergic reactions. You know, a lot of people say like they're lactose intolerant. Yeah, you should be, because you're not a fucking cow. You know, baby cows, baby calves are not lactose intolerant. Humans are. Because you're not supposed to be drinking milk from a fucking cow. Gastrointestinal bleeding. Rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, asthma, autism. Like autism is something that is just, I don't know. It's just like, where did it come from? I don't, you know, but it's like, it's just like kind of exploded. You know, the number of cases of like children with autism has just exploded over the years. Like you hear about it like everywhere. Milk, cow's milk. I don't even know how to pronounce that one. I said that one. Type 1 diabetes, I believe I said that. Abdominal pain, boom, Crohn's disease, heart disease. Now I just said the top 2 causes of death in America: heart disease, cancer. Dairy is linked to both of them. And let me just pause here before I read the rest of these off. Like when you think about dairy, like this is not just talking about milk, right? This is talking about cheese. Shit. Well, let me see if there was a list somewhere. Dairy products, milk, cheese. Let me see if I can pull up a list real quick. Cause I seen a list with a lot of different shit on it, like milk, cheese, like butter, and there's like tons of different types of cheeses. Tons. I used to love them all too. So yogurt. Sour cream, chocolate. You could consider chocolate a dairy product because it usually has some form of milk in it. Whipped cream, ice cream, pudding, milkshakes. I said butter, margarine. Then you got the powdered milk. You got quark. I don't know what the fuck that is. Gelato. I don't know what that is. You know, like your whey protein drinks, ghee, curd, condensed milk, sherbet, coleslaw. A lot of shit. It's all dairy. It's all different forms of dairy. And so I mean, like, I just wanted to mention that because, you know, pizza was another thing that I was just absolutely addicted to. And it's because of, well, one of the reasons for sure was because of the cheese. Italian food, I was addicted because of the cheese. Mexican food, because of the cheese. You know, if I had a burger, it had to have cheese on it. Extra cheese. I remember a comedian was talking about he loved cheese so much that he would put cheese in his pop if he could. But it's like dairy. All disease is diet related. Okay, so I said multiple sclerosis already. There's some other shit that I can't pronounce. Urinary incontinence, lymphoma, malabsorption syndrome, sleep disorders, peptic ulcers. And that's not everything on the list. Anemia is also listed on here. And so that's milk. And that's, that's not an exhaustive breakdown of milk and the ingredients in milk. But when you have a glass of milk or you eat a slice of cheese or like whatever, you're not just consuming milk or cheese or ice cream or yogurt. You're also consuming approximately 135 million pus cells. You're consuming drugs and chemicals. Because the entire process is all unnatural. It's an unnatural process they use to obtain the milk. And so they have to use unnatural means to preserve the milk long enough to get it into the stores. They have to use unnatural processes to make these cows produce enough milk to feed a fucking population of people. The whole system is unnatural. So yeah, you're consuming pus cells and blood and feces and painkillers and fucking antibiotics and growth hormones and pathogens and toxic proteins and acids. This is what you're consuming. And so, again, I'm not here to tell you what to do. If you want to continue to enjoy your cheese and your milk and your yogurt and ice cream and all that shit, enjoy. But I just wanted to talk about milk. And so let me know what you think.